Picture this. It's 2005. A man goes on an overnight fishing trip off the California coast and just vanishes. Now, this wasn't just any man. This was Patrick McDermott, the long-term partner of the superstar Olivia Newton-John. And his disappearance kicked off a mystery that honestly is still baffling people today.
So, what's the official story? Well, on the surface, it seems pretty straightforward. The U.S. Coast Guard looked into it, and they came to a simple and very tragic conclusion. Patrick McDermott probably fell overboard and was lost at sea.
But what if that's not what happened at all? For almost 20 years now, a much more shocking theory has been making the rounds. That McDermott wasn't drowning in water, but in debt, and that he staged the perfect escape to start a whole new life. So, to really get into this, we have to ask, who was this guy, Patrick McDermott? To even begin to understand what might have happened out there, we first need to understand the man himself. You know, McDermott's life was really a story of contrasts. He was born in Seoul, adopted by an American family, and grew up to be a Hollywood cameraman, someone who works behind the scenes. But for 9 years, his on-again, off-again relationship with Olivia Newton-John threw him right into that celebrity spotlight. And when you look at this timeline, you start to see a picture of some serious pressure building up. You see a marriage, then the start of this super high-profile relationship, but then you see a really critical moment. He files for bankruptcy in 2000, just 5 years before he disappeared. And we're not talking about a small amount of money here. The court documents showed he owed over $31,000 to a bunch of different creditors. I mean, that is a heavy, heavy weight for anyone to be carrying around. And then, on top of all that, it gets even more personal. He owed $8,000 in overdue child support to his ex-wife for their son. So this wasn't just some abstract financial problem. This was family trouble. When you put all that together, you can definitely see a powerful motive for wanting to just escape. Okay, so you've got this guy, deep in debt, a pretty clear reason to maybe want to disappear, right? So, what did the official investigation find? Let's take a look at the facts as the authorities saw them. All right, so these are the things that nobody argues about. He went on this overnight fishing trip by himself, and this is huge. His personal stuff, his wallet, his keys, even his passport, they were all found on the boat. But here is the really wild part. No one even reported him missing until 11 days later. 11 days! So the Coast Guard, they dug into this. I mean, they conducted a really thorough investigation. They looked at everything. Was it foul play? Was it suicide? Could he have faked the whole thing? And they came up completely empty on all of it. They found zero evidence to suggest it was anything but an accident. So in 2008, 3 whole years after he vanished, the Coast Guard made it official. They concluded he was, and I quote, likely lost at sea. And there you have it. Case closed, right? Well, not even close. This is really where the whole story just splits right down the middle. On one side, you've got the official, tragic story of a man lost to the ocean. And on the other, you have this really tantalizing tale of a man who outsmarted absolutely everyone to just escape his life. Okay, so let's dive into that other side of the coin. The explosive theory that Patrick McDermott didn't die at all. It all boils down to this one question, really. With tens of thousands of dollars of debt breathing down his neck, those child support payments piling up, could he have seen disappearing as his only way out? Maybe a way for his son to collect on a life insurance policy and for him to just start over completely? And this is where the story takes a turn into, like, a modern-day detective novel. Private investigators working for Dateline NBC, of all places, took a very clever approach. They set up this website, basically a digital wanted poster, but it had a secret purpose. It was tracking the location of every single person who visited it. And they started noticing something, a pattern, a cluster of regular visits coming from one small coastal area in Mexico. So they follow these digital breadcrumbs, and it leads them to make this absolutely stunning announcement. They claimed that they had found him, that Patrick McDermott was alive and well, living in a small Mexican town and going by his birth name, Pat Kim. So that's it. They found him. Or did they? Because this is where things get really, really messy, and the story descends into this media frenzy of claims and counterclaims. I mean, it sounds incredible, a huge breakthrough. But was it actually true? Did these investigators really track him down, or were they just chasing a ghost? Or maybe just chasing a bit of fame?
Well, one of the loudest voices saying no way belonged to someone who knew him better than almost anyone, his ex-wife, Yvette Napar. From the beginning, she never believed any of the stories about him being alive in Mexico.
And listen, she was not holding back. She publicly called the lead investigator on the case, a guy named Philip Klein, a serial liar who was just trying to get famous by exploiting her family's tragedy. Wow, that throws a whole lot of doubt on that "we found him in Mexico" story. And from there, this whole thing just became tabloid gold, you know? For years, you had these headlines, claims of proof of life, magazine articles saying he was in Sayulita, Mexico. At one point, a tabloid even published this grainy photo of a guy who kinda looked like him. Turns out he was just some random Canadian tourist on vacation. The bottom line is, after all this time and all these sightings, not a single one has ever been proven true.
So you take the official investigation, the wild private investigator claims, the tabloid frenzy, and what are you left with? A true, honest-to-goodness, unsolved mystery.
So let's just lay it all out on the table, side by side. The lost at sea theory, it's got the official U.S. Coast Guard investigation behind it, plus the fact that there's zero confirmed proof he's alive. But the faked death theory, well, it's fueled by that really powerful motive, all that debt, and the nagging detail that not one person on that boat actually saw him fall in. Both sides have some pretty compelling points.
So what's the real story here? Did Patrick McDermott meet a tragic, accidental end in the Pacific Ocean, or did he somehow pull off one of the greatest vanishing acts of our time, leaving everyone, including a global superstar, to wonder forever what really happened? After all this time, the answer is still out there, lost somewhere between the facts and the fiction.